welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay, so it's been a minute since I've posted anything on here. Lots been happening. I've kind of had a lot on my plate lately with working on the Tarot Animal Oracle, and I'm also putting out a movie that I made. We shot it in 2018, and then it was finished last year, sent it out to some film festivals, and now I'm putting it online. And so between those two things, I've been really busy, plus taking video chat calls and but staying inside. It seems like my life got a little bit more busy since everything happened. So I'm not really feeling the stuckness as much as a lot of people. Yeah, so I'm sending love out to anyone who's isolated and alone right now, or who has to be doing homeschooling with their kids and not getting a lot of time to themselves, or is out of work right now. I'm really sending everyone so much love. And if anyone is taking the time right now to do any type of self-healing work, this video might resonate with you. So today I'm sharing my inner child healing kit and my shadow work process. Just to give you a quick rundown of what this video is. The first part will be what's in my kit, which I keep in this Harry Potter box. It says cauldron cakes, and it's like it's Harry Potter. I have a whole tin set, but that one is where I keep my inner child healing kit. And then I'm going to share how I use it for shadow work, and then integrating what I've learned through the process, which is a 4-step process. So my inner child healing kit, like I said, I keep it in this Harry Potter tin. It's empty right now because I have everything right next to me. But I keep it in here because my inner child really loves Harry Potter. As a kid, I loved the books. It felt like when I felt a lot of fear, it would shift me into a place of love. And I think a big theme in that book is love conquers all. So that was really like a guiding light for me throughout my life, because I've always trusted in love, and I really think it's because of Harry Potter. So what's in my kit? I have, let me start with my journal. It's Harry Potter. I'll link a video down below where I did, where I go into the history of this journal, but let's just say it's Harry Potter. And yeah, I have this tarot cloth. It's knit by my mom, and it has an owl on it. And inside it has, the eyes are buttons. And inside there's a tarot deck. This is from the As Above, So Below Tarot by Barbara Moore. This is the So Below deck. I saw my friend Bria has this deck. Oh my gosh, she's so cool. She's a burlesque dancer. You can find her on Instagram. I'll link her below. If you like burlesque, she's awesome. Very funny. But I saw she had this, and it immediately resonated with me. It feels like what my inner child would have loved. If there was this tarot deck around when I was a kid, I would have begged my mom for it, because the traditional Rider-Waite didn't fully resonate with me. And it's very witchy. My inner child is very witchy. She secretly read a lot of books that were witchy. And this also has elementals in it. So there's salamanders here for fire. And there are these fairies for swords. I think they're called something else, but fairies basically. And let's see. The water elemental. I think they're called silkies. I don't know. I totally feel embarrassed if I said the wrong thing. And then gnomes for the earth elementals. So it's very magical stuff woven in. And this is supposed to be a Wiccan deck, which I'm not Wiccan, but I did read books as a kid, like young adult novels that were super Wiccan. And that was an introduction to witchy stuff for me. So I just love this. Okay, so there's more to the kit, but I want to share why I love this so much. My mom made this for me, and my mom and I did not get along at all growing up. And now that I've lived away from her, I've had a lot of distance, and like I'm more patient now when things that used to upset me, they don't upset me as much anymore. My fiance and I cohabitate with my mom right now, so lots of close quarters. But what's so special about this, the fact that she made this for me, she wasn't able to really be emotionally present for me growing up. My parents weren't that emotionally in tune, and that's because they've had to survive a lot in their lives. They both are. My father's passed on, but they're both immigrants, and that has taken a lot of I don't know, like a lot of resilience. And so the emotional stuff wasn't really their forte. And I'm a Cancer child. I was a Cancer. No, I am a Cancer. I was a child. And I think that lends itself to being a little bit more emotional. And also I'm a Leo moon, which I think I have a bit of an ego, which I'm trying to temper. Yeah, because I always think that there's something wrong with me. That's what I mean by ego. Like if someone's upset with me, I feel like there's something wrong with me. I think it's about me when really it's not personal, usually. Yeah. Anyway, so the fact that she made this for me feels like she's hugging my emotions when I come to this mat. Yeah, so it's special. I have 2 more decks in my inner child healing kit. And these are also decks that me as a child would love. I'm just going to say my inner child, but I'm referring to me as a kid. So this one is the one I've shown before. It's, what's it called? Witchlings. And this is the little spell book that comes with it. And then here's the deck. It's an oracle deck. I love the backs of these. And they have keywords and then a little phrase at the bottom, and then associated rituals that you can do to incorporate whatever the theme is of the card. And I'll explain how I use all of this in a minute. The next one, this is the story cards by, I think, Cathy Nichols. Yes, Cathy Nichols. I edged this myself, and at first I really, really hated the edging job I did. As you can see, it's not the best. But after my mom made this for the deck, it felt perfect. Like it incorporated the colors, so it feels, I don't know, I like when things are cohesive, and yeah, it tied the colors in nicely. And I love the big orange button. So cute. So story cards, these are the backs. And this is another oracle deck, but this one is more intuitive. You go off the artwork. And I fell in love with the artwork. She has another deck out now that I really want also, but I'm probably not going to get it because it feels kind of similar. If I do get it, I would combine it. But this is story cards, and she has another one called Synchronicity Oracle, I think. Okay, so this one's called Duality. And this is, I think, the only horizontal card in this. Well, you can still look at it this way. Yeah, so I'll explain how I use this one also in a minute. Okay, so those are the 3 decks that I have in my inner child healing kit. The tarot cloth. Okay, so this actually usually sits on my altar. I've shown it in, I'll link that video below, my altar tour. I went into detail about it. I had this from middle school. This is a gift from a little girl. And it's like represents playfulness. This was a gift from a friend. And it's kind of fragile. And so I like to treat my heart with care. This is the Dalmatian Jasper, and it's for like playfulness and letting my inner child be free. And then I have rhodonite here. This is actually a worry stone, but I keep it inside like a little boat for my inner child to sit in, and it like hugs her with compassion and love and helps her feel safe. And I keep those in here nice and protected, but I open it when I'm doing inner child work, and I bring it with me on the mat. Yeah, it's very symbolic, and energetically it's infused with all that meaning. Okay, this is my stuffed animal. And this was a gift from my dad. It's kind of wearing, it's definitely worn off. It used to say Lakers because that's the sports team he liked. I'm in Los Angeles, so Lakers are a big thing. Yeah, he got this at a basketball game, and he brought it back for me, and it's special. I hug it when I miss him. Okay, and the last thing, this isn't really in my kit. This is the Elementals ebook. I'll link it down below, but I use a tarot spread from it. I'll explain that in the 4-step process. But yeah, inner child healing kit. My stuffed animal, the tarot cloth, and it holds inside this owl, this tarot deck, and then I also have my Witchlings oracle and my story cards and my journal and these crystals, but they stay on my altar. Okay, so the 4 steps for my shadow work process are spew, reflect, pivot, integrate. 4 steps. And I usually take 2 days to do it. So step 1, spew. Usually when I do shadow work, I'm really triggered and feeling very heightened emotions. And so I go to the kit, 1 for comfort, and also just to start the processing without trying to hurry it. The first 2 steps really slow me down from trying to fix me. That's like a thing that I feel like we fall into a lot, trying to fix ourselves. Really, we should just, not should, but my goal is to just be present with myself so I can move through the emotions. So I spew everything I'm feeling into this journal without judgment. I let myself speak with all the emotions without looking back at what I'm writing. I just rapidly write it out. And it's usually a lot of feelings, and then I don't stop writing until I get to a point where I kind of have an aha moment, because even though I'm like in the emotions as I'm writing them, as I'm putting them down on the page, I am seeing what's being reflected back, and I'm not detached from this compassionate part of myself that I've tapped into as an adult. So that part of me is still present, which actually helps me feel safe expressing everything really authentically and really raw. And yeah, so I spew. I say spew because it's like, it has that feeling of like just gushing out of me, the emotions. Spew. Step 2 is reflect. So after I've let everything out, I usually get to an aha moment where I see maybe a core belief being reflected back that isn't really congruent with love. Let's say love. Love is my core compass direction. If it's not in alignment with love, it's usually my aha moment. Okay, so I use this tarot deck to reflect. I'll do usually just a basic 3-card spread. It could be past, present, future, mind, body, soul, anything that helps me reflect on what just came through me. My favorite 3-card spread is the situation, the energies affecting the situation, and some kind of direction to move in, some bit of wisdom is the 3rd card. But it's very loose. So I do this in my journal again. I will write out I'll interpret the cards as I'm writing in the reflection section. And usually that feels like if part 1 was letting myself be heard, part 2 is like acknowledging what I just said. And it's like my inner parent listening to my inner child and reflecting back what she just said with a bit of wisdom. So it's like being heard and acknowledging what I just heard, if that makes sense. Okay, so, I forgot to say, usually when I'm hugging, I keep this in my bedroom actually. And usually when I gravitate towards my stuffed animal, that's an indicator that I'm feeling something. Most of the time I'm triggered, and that's when I go to the book, the journal. But when I'm gravitating towards this, it's usually because something is starting to come to the surface, not necessarily from an outside trigger. Well, yes and no, a trigger is happening, but it could be just like the state of the world, and then I'm starting to feel like scared. This guy is an indicator that I have something coming up. Okay, step 3 is pivot. That's where this deck comes in. So I will lay the cards out and I will intuitively pick one. Sometimes as I'm shuffling, one will pop out and I'll go with that one. And kind of like the reflection process, I'll pull the card. This one says love. Oh my gosh. Love is my guiding thing throughout everything. So that's funny that love came up. So let's see what this one says. Love, a steadfast embrace of the heart, flows through and from you at all times, for all time. So this is the incorporating the wisdom. After I've acknowledged everything that I just let out through the reflection, I'm ready to receive wisdom. First, I need to feel heard, and then I can receive wisdom. And usually I feel really ready for it. Like the raw feeling I'm usually crying, and I'm not crying as much. And that's when I'm feeling ready for the light work aspect. I feel like there's shadow work and light work. Light work is like when your heart is open, right? Your heart is a valve, lets energy up and down through your energy body. And so when my heart is open and ready, I'm ready to let that light down into the shadow. And then it's illuminated. It's not shadow anymore. I mentally recognize what's going on in me with the writing process, and then the wisdom is letting the light touch it. So then I'll journal about that, and I'll see the belief that I had that was incongruent with love. And then I'll look at it from a more loving point of view, or let's see what other cards I could pull. Communication, I'll look at it from how could I communicate better, or this one's called banishment. Maybe it has to do with boundaries and releasing what isn't mine. banishing it from myself and not carrying it anymore. So that's how those get incorporated. And maybe I'll do a ritual and I'll put it on my altar behind me as a way to energetically do something to move things along, and have it as a reminder over a period of time. So that's how I incorporate this. Step 4, after doing all this work, bringing awareness to everything, hearing it, reflecting back, reflecting on it, and pivoting to a place of wisdom, shifting that belief, replacing an old belief with something more in alignment with how I see the world today. Then it's time to integrate it. Usually those first 3 steps are enough to bring awareness and then to recognize when this is coming up again in the future, and create a little bit more distance, have a little bit less of an emotional reaction to that happening again. But the 4th step I do is the barn owl spread from my Elementals ebook, which I will link below. It's free to download. I just have a physical copy because I'm so excited that I wrote a book. So the barn owl spread is outlined in that ebook, but I developed it not for the ebook. It's something that I was using ahead of time, and I incorporated it into the animal, the owl. And it's so fitting. This actually happened on accident. She made this pocket on here, and it started looking like an owl with the 2 button eyes. And then I was like, can you just sew on a little beak or crochet a little beak? And she did. And then it was a beautiful synchronicity. But the barn owl spread is basically taking the old belief and my whole sense of self. Those are like the 2 wings of the barn owl. And you need these 2 parts of you. You need both parts of you to take flight in the world. You can't just leave part of you behind. So it's integrating that part of me back into my whole self. And it's going to be different for everyone, however you do the spread. I'm just realizing what I'm doing. But yeah, the 2 wings are 2 parts of you that don't quite feel like they go together, but you know that they do somehow. Then the 3rd card is the nest that the owl came from. Maybe it's the home you grew up in. It's where that belief came from. So I pull a card for that. And then the 4th spread is, why am I doing it like this? I can show you the picture. Okay, there we go. So in the previous page, the whole spread is explained. And there's a short story about owl as well, which is fun. But yeah. So card 1 and 2 are the wings. And you can actually print this out and layer cards on top of it. It's kind of big. The wings, the nest where you came from, and then this is where you're moving. When these 2 parts of you feel mutually exclusive, this 4th card at the top is some like a guiding light, like how love is a guiding light for me. You'll see what it means to you when you pull that card. You'll understand. But yeah, it's what to do when these 2 parts of you feel mutually exclusive. So you have the reminder of why they feel that way. Now, how can you bring them back together? And then there's a 5th card, which isn't written out on here because you get to decide where the 5th card goes. The 5th card is like a reminder of something, or it could be like the new status quo. If you choose for it to be this new status quo, you place it over the nest card. This is your nest now. You get to decide what the environment is like. But it can also be placed under the wing that needs the most support. So it's a 5-card spread. And that's how I integrate what I just learned. And it gives me like steps moving forward. Yeah. So that's the 4-step process and my inner child healing kit. I would love to see if you have an inner child healing kit, or if you want to make one, what you would put inside it. What does your inner child love? And what's your shadow work process? I would love to hear about that as well. Oh, and there's a really great shadow work series that I'll link below from Ouroboros. She really goes into detail about how, like a Jungian perspective of shadow. Shadow comes from Jung, and she really goes into the details about shadow and how shadow forms. I'll just link it below. Watch her series. It's really awesome. And she's a therapist. She's an actual therapist. So there's that behind her information, which is awesome. But yeah, tell me about your inner child healing kit, what your inner child loves, your shadow work process. Put that below or make a video response. All right, I'm sending you guys so much love, and I will see you in the next video.